welcome back, everyone. And you have just joined us again at Just Talking Business. I am Stephanie Van Bark, and I am a small business owner. And I'm here talking to some very interesting business owners and entrepreneurs, in particular today, in a very interesting industry. I have to I said to her, I didn't even know this was a thing, but it turns out this is a $221 million business. And she is an African American woman who's delved into this industry. So we're going to really probe her a little bit about how that works. Introducing, hello, how are you today?
Hi.
This is Melanie Snyder, and her company is Afro Mermaids. And thank you for agreeing to be with us today.
Of course, this was so excited. As soon as I found out about your channel, I'm like, I need to talk. We need to talk.
So I was just sharing with my guests that I shared with you that I didn't even know this was a thing. But after talking to you, I do have another friend that says she sells a wealth of mermaid products. Like, tell me who you are, what you do, and then, kind of delve into a little bit about how this came to be for you.
Okay, so right now I have a black mermaiding company called Afro Mermaid, and we are pushing to build representation and bring representation to our people and swimming. So 1 out of 4 children, no, actually, yeah, 1 out of 4 children cannot swim.
Mm-hmm. Is that
Most of
only in the
them,
African American community or in
yes,
total?
no, that's the
Okay.
African American community.
Okay.
And most of the drownings that come from swimming are also in the African American community.
Right.
So we're dying in more ways than one, but if we can avoid the drownings from children, then we're making a huge impact. So we're trying to start a nonprofit so that we
Okay.
can teach children how to swim for free that can't afford it. I'm actually trying to look into the education system, see how I can sneak in there
Right.
to make it mandatory in order for children to swim at schools. But right now, we sell apparel. We
Mm-hmm.
do birthday parties for children and adults. Surprisingly, I get more adult parties than children
I
parties.
can
It's
imagine that. I can imagine. There, I mean, you're swimming in restaurants now. I mean,
yeah,
it's cool.
exactly.
Like, that's a job.
Yeah, so many people are like, "Oh, you're a mermaid? You're 30. You need to get a real job." I'm like, "I quit my real job to do this."
You know what? And so you're like, I'm glad you brought that subject up because I gotta tell you, sort of your first reaction is somebody not only is doing this for a living, but has created a industry around it. So then
Hmm.
I started doing a little research, and I was like, oh my god, you just, it's very interesting to me how something can really become an industry
Yeah.
uh, that is, and I would imagine we are highly underrepresented in that kind of industry. Not just because, like you said, most people say at 30 it's time for you to get a job, but
Hmm.
we haven't been traditionally known to be strong swimmers. The big
Yeah.
joke is you're going to mess up your hair. So, so what's your product? Yeah, let's start with that. What is your product? So, what do you sell?
Okay, so we have a product and a service. We do
Okay.
both. We have clothing,
Hmm.
we have toys and little purses like accessories.
Hmm.
And eventually, I want to get tails, like actual swimmable tails that you can
Uh-huh.
customize in our shop. I
Uh-huh.
want to do black mermaid dolls. So, my list of products is slowly growing.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
don't plan on stopping. I even want to get bedding and sheets with like little black mermaids on it for our little ones. And
Now,
then
are you is this your own personal merchandise or are you outsourcing the creation of the product?
both.
Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
doing both. I'm outsourcing. I started outsourcing in the beginning, and now
Mhm.
I'm slowly but surely trying to create my own things so that
Okay.
it's 100% authentic. You're not going to find it anywhere else.
Okay.
Hmm.
How
Um,
many products do you have in your line that are like that? And do those tend to be the greatest sellers for you?
yeah, yeah. So I only have two right now,
Mhm.
but yes, they are their best sellers, mainly because they're like, I can't find this anywhere else. They're like,
Right.
I looked here, I can't find it. I'm like, of course you can't find it. I created
It's
it.
only for me.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, it's only for me.
yeah.
So
So
when you make these kind of products, are you making them yourself or do you have to outsource in terms of manufacturing these?
so I do both. I come up with the design and the ideas, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll draw it out. I'm a very good drawer,
Mm-hmm.
so I like to draw and paint. So I will put everything on a piece of paper exactly how I see it and how I want it to look. And then I have a friend who is a fashion designer. So she's in school for it and she's interning at some cool places. So she helps me and she's like, okay, well, this is how you're going to have to make it. So then
Okay.
she'll give me all the steps and then I'll sit in the shop and I'm like, okay, let's try this out. Oh, this threading didn't work. Let me try this, you know? So it takes, what's crazy is that it takes so I didn't think it was going to take this much work. I thought it was going to be fun, you know, and it is fun, the journey and the process that I'm going through, but I didn't expect it to be so hard and so tedious because I go through so much material and like waste just learning just for customers to be like, well, you don't have that color in red. I'm like,
Right.
what?
It took me forever to get this pink one. Take this pink one.
Yeah, I'm like, you better like this one. Your red is coming next year, okay?
You better dye it red.
Yes.
But like it is interesting you say that. The good thing about that is you really will know once you get into a real serious manufacturing dynamic how this should work and how to put this whole piece together.
Exactly.
We had a young lady on the show that did hair products, and going through her manufacturing process was very tedious as well. Trying to learn how to do all the parts and the pieces, so you'll definitely have it down to a science. I
Yeah.
was looking on your website and your first page, which I thought was very cool. And I really loved your introduction, introducing the wardrobe for leg days.
Hey.
So, right. So I was like, that's kind of cool. Like, all right, so so that is definitely a strong part of your product base. Is that the primary breadwinner for you, or what additional services do you offer, and which are the stronger when it comes to your revenue streams?
So I sell online and
Mhm.
then I also do pop-ups. So I do local
Okay.
pop-ups in the area because it's really crazy. I was going over all of my stats and I'm like, wait, the majority of my followers are all over the states. They're not in Miami. And I'm based
Really?
in Miami. So I'm like, how did I manage to do this? I don't even know what's going on. But most of my followers and most people that shop for me are in California and New
Oh,
York. California, New York, and Texas, which is good. But I'm like, what happened to my Miami people?
right, right, right,
You know,
right.
something, yeah. So I'm trying to figure out exactly where I went wrong. So now I'm trying to promote here and like have this word of mouth thing going on, and I'm everywhere, and I'm in my tail being pushed around in carts on South Beach because y'all are gonna see this Afro Mermaid
Right.
every day.
Well, do you think you have more competition here?
I don't.
Okay.
So when it comes to competition, I have competition in the mermaid community in general,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
I don't really have much competition because I am the only Black mermaid company that's doing everything that I do. So and even mermaid company in general, because all of the mermaid companies that are thriving right now, they sell one thing. So
Oh.
they either have like swimwear and tails,
Hmm. Hmm.
or they have just apparel like dry clothing,
Hmm.
or they do annual conventions.
Okay.
I do
Okay.
all of
You
those.
do all of those.
So I have annual conventions, I have bathing suits, I have dry clothes for land days. Then I also have kid clothing. I have kid
Mm,
purses and
I
little
saw that.
toys and things. It's super cute, which I haven't seen in any other mermaid shop. Then I also have a service where I do parties. I
Okay.
swim at events. I do hotels, restaurants.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm literally all over the place, which is great because I literally plan on taking over the mermaid community.
Community.
It's my
News
evil
break. You
plan.
heard it here first. We will reinvent this, what
Yes.
she does. Start it here. Start it here.
Because I feel like a lot of the mermaid communities, even though they love mermaiding, we all love mermaiding. This is why we do this.
Mhm.
However, it hits home for me and it's a little deeper than just being fabulous in a tail. You
Okay.
know, my goal is now to transform everyone into a mermaid, but make sure that they are strong swimmers. Make sure
Mhm.
that they're pushing for their children and their cousins and their mothers and their grandmas to learn how to swim. That's the
Mhm.
most important thing. Then also, I want to make sure that we're doing beach cleanups. So I do a beach cleanup every single month for the past
Right.
2 years.
Okay.
And
Nice.
I feel like that's super important too. Like, I'm not just
Okay.
sitting pretty, like, I'm a mermaid. I'm also out here working and cleaning, and I'm here for the
Right.
people because I'm trying to make a difference. And you
Right.
won't see that in any other mermaiding company. They'll be like, oh, yeah, we do our seasonal beach cleanup. I'm like, seasonal?
No, there needs to be some cleanup all the time, and because
Yeah. I
I've
mean,
actually, I
yeah.
don't go to the beach often, but a couple of times that I've gone, I'm like, oh my God, what is this I'm walking on?
I've cut my feet so many times. I've
Mhm.
been at the beach trying to have a good time, and I'm like, it's just so dirty. What is this? So
It
it's
is. It's
I have to
creepy.
be. And then when I go to the beach without having a beach cleanup, just like a free day for myself, I always bring a bag, and I always ends up cleaning up. And I can't help it. I really can't help it. This is my passion. Like, I really love what I do,
Hmm.
and that's the most important thing. I feel like we're supposed to care for our earth. And
Hmm.
especially if I'm going to be calling myself a mermaid, I better care for these oceans, you know?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I know Miami Beach loves you. Uh, So, how do you market? Like, you have an annual event I saw. That's actually how I shared with you. I wasn't aware of it, but a friend of mine noticed that you did an annual event. I think he even went. I think he and his wife both were there. How did that come about? And then how do you market? And and who is your target market?
Okay, so this event and this whole company came about because I was on a vacation at the Keys, and I ran into this store, the most beautiful mermaid store I've ever seen.
Hmm.
Mermaid everything. They had mermaid spoons and forks. There was
Oh,
mermaid statues, photos, t-shirts, like anything mermaid you could think of was in that shop. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna buy everything. And I
$2
started
million
picking,
dollars later.
yeah, I started picking up everything, and I'm like, oh my God, I love this whole, like, I'm grabbing everything. And then I'm like walking to the checkout with my hands like this. And then I'm like, wait, all of these mermaids are white. Am I really gonna put all this white mermaid art on my walls? Like, it's
Hmm.
beautiful regardless of the race of the mermaid, but that representation was not there. And
Right.
growing up, I never had the representation. As an adult, I never had the representation. And I'm like, yo, and I literally started getting upset. I started putting all the stuff back, and I'm like, I'll get this fork, but I'm not getting nothing else. I'm gonna start my own
She
mermaid
looks black.
company. Yeah.
This one looks black.
Well, that one wasn't a body. It was just the fin, like the tail
Okay.
part.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So I was like, you know what? I'll buy this one thing, but this is not right.
Mhm.
I need to do something. Like, it was calling out to me so loud that I'm like, I can't not do anything. I can't walk out of this store complaining and not try to make a change. So I was complaining for 2 weeks about it.
Mhm.
Then I was reminded, like, okay, so what you gonna do about it?
Right. If you're gonna
So
complain, you got to do something about it.
yeah, so I started Googling how to trademark something, how to start a business, what steps do I need to go. And I literally YouTubed and Googled everything. I
Mhm.
figured it out. I did it myself, and the business started in 2019,
Mhm.
November 2019. So I'm like, okay, everything is set. We're on a roll. We're gonna start this. Then COVID hit, and oh my gosh.
So which is strange though, because like you're a mermaid in terms of outdoor activity, and that was the one thing
Hmm.
people were looking for. Did you?
Exactly.
Was it still difficult for you to really get things moving, even though we were still allowed outside?
So I feel like it it went pretty well for COVID to had just hit and everybody's like, the
Mm-hmm.
sickness, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have any mermaid parties or gigs in the beginning of 2020, but towards the end, slowly but surely, people would start like, like, hey, maybe we could keep people over
Mm-hmm.
here and you be over here. So
Mm-hmm.
we were working it out like that. um, I felt like I did get a lot of online purchases because people
Okay.
were in the house, like, I have nothing to do. Let me shop,
Right. 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 Right.
But the company didn't pick up yet. So all of 2020, I was pretty much trying to create a master plan because everybody was inside.
Right.
Then when 2021 came around, I realized that there was actually more black mermaids other than me that wanted to be black mermaids. And they were like,
Really?
hi. So then people were reaching out to me and they're like, thank you so much for doing this. Like, thank you. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
thank you. I did this for me
Right.
because I needed that
This is
representation.
personal.
Yeah, and I was like, you needed it too. And so many mermaids, black mermaids, shared their story with me, and it was so emotional, like the trauma that they have gone through with
Mm-hmm.
even just being a mermaid, let
Right.
alone being a black mermaid. And you can't swim. Oh, so you gonna get your hair wet? And people wanting to hire white mermaids over black mermaids because they don't trust black mermaids because we can't swim and it's a liability because we might drown.
Really?
Yeah. So it was just so much. So I'm like writing all these notes down and I'm like, we're gonna make a change. This is not gonna happen. And I decided to create a safe space for anybody who's ever felt picked on or mocked in the mermaid community. And that's where the event came out, Afro Mermaid Summit. This is where
Right.
the elite go. We learn together, we make mistakes together, and nobody judges the other person for that. And a lot of the other major mermaid conventions that are out there, you'll see that there's different mermaid tail brands. So
Mm-hmm.
you'll have bleachers with like this brand, only this brand sit here. If you do not have a tail from this brand, you cannot sit with us.
Oh.
Yes, and then another brand, and it's like that. So I'm like, so you guys are pretty much segregating
Mm-hmm.
people based off of their tail. I'm
That
like,
they bought.
what?
Could they buy a tail here and buy a tail there and switch days or?
Exactly. But it's like that's too much to do. Why can't
Right.
we just celebrate and share the love of water? Who
Mm-hmm.
cares what type of tail you're wearing? So you're telling me that if I made my own tail, I can't sit with neither one of
You
these
can't sit
people?
anywhere. You got to be over there.
Right, over there by the garbage can.
You sat over there.
Right. And then for me, I feel like if you made your own tail, you better than all of us because it is so easy to just buy a tail that you
Right.
think is cute versus measuring your waist, finding the right material, printing on the material for the design that you created. That's hard. It's
Right.
really hard. So I felt like everyone should be celebrated for their differences, for their similarities, and just all of us coming together and sharing the love for water, playing games together, failing and making mistakes together, and being able to brush it off and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna go again. You know, the mermaid community is very competitive because everybody wants to be the biggest and baddest fish out there.
Right.
So now we're not helping each other anymore and we're bashing each other. I'm going to make you look bad so I can lift myself up. And I don't like that. So now I'm building a community where you're going to be picked at and bullied if you're picking at people and bullying them. So
Right.
now I make it very clear every single time that I have an event. If you are bashing somebody for what type of tail they have, if you're picking at them or bullying them or whatever the case is, you will get kicked out of this event. You escorted out of
Yes.
this event.
Right.
You're gonna
You
get
have to be
escorted
pleasant
out.
and walk them to the front door.
Right. And you will not receive a refund.
Okay.
Choose your words wisely because we are a family here.
And how long is this convention?
So this convention was 3 days. It was a 3 day convention last year, and this year I extended it to 4 days.
Okay. Okay.
So we're doing like almost everything that a mermaid would love. We're doing karaoke because mermaids love to sing. So it's called the Siren Song karaoke mixer where we're going to be singing all these different songs. I have this really cool backdrop, blue backdrop, so it looks like you're like on a stage
Singing,
and
right?
everything. Yeah. Then we have a sacred water ceremony on Sunday where we're actually like winding down because Sunday's the last day. So
Right.
we're winding down and we're paying tribute to our water goddesses and thanking the water for healing us and for bringing us together and things like that. So it's very beautiful and it's very community oriented.
Right.
We also have workshops to strengthen your swimming.
Okay. Good.
If you feel like we have an intro to mermaiding workshop. So if you're just this is your first time coming and you just need to get a crash course and figure out how to start, we
Hmm.
have that for you. We have advanced classes where you can get your mermaid certification and become a
Okay.
professional mermaid. So if that's something that people are interested in and they want to actually be able to say like, look, I'm a professional mermaid, here's my certification, I trained. The certification in that class, they teach you how to swim proficiently in your tail, how to do a quick release, which is taking it off quickly and putting it on quickly in
Hmm.
the event of an emergency for yourself. And it also teaches how to rescue someone in your tail in the event that you see somebody is drowning and you don't have time to take off your tail.
Okay.
They're teaching you how to actually rescue someone in the tail. So it's really cool. There's workshops. We have games that we play. Like we do our annual relay race.
Mm.
It's a tradition now. Everybody loves it, and they're always asking for it. So it's literally a community event where we have
So,
fun and we test each other.
so how many years have you been doing this?
This is my second year.
And the first year, did you have good attendance?
Yeah. So the first year, I'm like, my goal is to sell 100 tickets.
Okay.
I sold 87 tickets.
Okay, goes, goes.
Yes. So I was like, okay.
Okay, maybe that's something to this.
And then I had an attendance of 66 people.
Okay. Okay. So 87 purchase, attendance 66. What's your
Yes.
goal this year?
So my goal is the same. I'm like, I'm going to sell 100 tickets. I'm going
Okay.
to keep that goal the same until I reach 100.
Until you hit it and then go. Yeah.
And then I'll push it up a little bit more. But
So you talked about training. So did you get your training at other conferences, or is there somewhere else that someone who wants to get into this industry, and are the people that are attending aspiring to do what you do, start a business?
so you can get your training anywhere as long as you know someone that's certified, or you can go to it's called NAUI, NAUI, or SSI, or PADI, PADI. So there's three different companies that you can reach out to receive your training, and you can find somebody that's a certified teacher in your area to teach you. And you can also go to an event and do it as well.
Okay.
I personally have not gotten my training yet. I'm getting it at my summit this year, which I'm like
Right.
super excited about.
Cool.
And the reason I did it was because I couldn't find any black trainers,
Okay.
and everybody else was more like, oh well, what kind of tail are you using? Because I need to make sure. So yeah, exactly. It's really
That's
crazy. Yes, it's
a
crazy.
little elite.
Yeah, and that's how a lot of them act, and I don't like that. So for me, I'm like, I'm not going to support you if I'm trying to give you my money and you're making it seem like I'm just like chop liver, you
Nothing.
know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Agree.
this trainer that I have for the summit, her name is Mermaid Monique, and she has a company called the Society of Fat Mermaids. Like so she has a company with big bone mermaids, nice and curvaceous, and this class is valued at $250. She is providing this course for $150 at the training for us because we are way behind when it
Right.
comes to swimming, when it comes to mermaiding, when it comes to a lot of certifications. Black people are behind because we have this trauma, because we have this stigma, because we have all these judging eyes watching us and telling us that we can't do it. We start to believe that ourselves.
Right.
So now
Right.
she's like, we both were like, we want to make sure that we get as many people signed up as possible. So
Right.
let's lower the rate a little bit, because at the end of the day, it's not the money that matters. It's making sure that we're looking out for each other and we are helping you grow. And we're going to be the ones that's pushing you and motivating you to get where you need to go because others are not.
Right. So, okay. So now I mentioned earlier again, and I've got to say, I'm just continue to be impressed by this. This is a $221 million industry. I glean that's from events, marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, events, product, merchandising, and services. Tell me, and you shared there's not a large market when it comes to the African American community.
Mm-hmm.
You are the only African American business here in Miami. Talk about maybe nationally and internationally. How much of that market is quote unquote owned by the African American business owner entrepreneurship in this space? Um, and how do we make it better? What you know, or is this something we'll ever make better in
Oh,
this particular industry?
I'm gonna make it better.
Even if it's only me,
So
I'll
right
do it.
now, I am the only mermaid company that I know of. There's another mermaid that she came to my last summit and she's like, "Thank you so much. You actually brought me out. Like I feel like now I'm actually learning who I am as a mermaid
Mhm,
and learning my mersona, my colors, and who I want to be."
mhm.
And she's starting her own company doing mermaid sculptures. Sculptures.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, she should do well with that.
Yes. So,
Mhm.
and I was telling her that too. I'm like, eventually, I want to do that. I'm gonna do sculptures too,
Right.
and I'm trying to see if she wants to collab or if we can do something together or whatever the case is. But I think she's gonna do great with it. So that's what she's focusing on right now. Um, but yeah, there's really not many. There's really not many.
Now,
So
is that because there is no desire, or is that you know of people that have the desire, they just don't, their concern is they're African American in this
yes,
space?
yes, and then it's always funding.
All right.
A lot of these other mermaids, they're getting funding from these tail lines. So a lot of
So they're influencers for the tail line. Okay.
exactly. And what they'll do is be like, okay, well, we'll give you this amount of money to promote us. Period. Just to promote us and to give us a section at your convention.
Hmm.
So now they have this lump sum of money to even start with. For
Would you
me,
would you do that as well, or is that even an option for you?
so it's not an option for me. Ever since I started in this community, a lot of tail lines have like literally been like hiding from me, and like
Mm,
and you can tell, like you can tell,
right.
because
Right.
most of the time if you see a new mermaid in the community, you're like, welcome, how can I help you? Let's be friends, let me help you grow so we can
Right.
all grow and be great and be happy together. But when I came out, you see a lot of people like, not this black company, because a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, we love this. I bring a very black and African feel to the mermaiding community. In my summit, we have black drummers, we have African dancers, so it's very black.
Right.
And we play music all day and we're dancing, and it's not like that in a lot of the other conventions.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm bringing a vibe that's different and
Right.
everybody loves it and everyone is welcome. So when buzz gets around about my company, now all of the other companies are like, we don't like this. Because just last year we were running the show and now they're talking about this company, like who are they?
Right. Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and there's a lot. Last year when I did the first convention, there's so many Afro mermaids. There's so
Mhm.
many Afro mermaids that want to start their own company, want to do their own thing, and I'm like here encouraging them, like you can do it. If you need help, call me.
Right.
There's so much space and opportunity for all of us to thrive. I never feel like I'm competing with anyone because I want you to win too. Like I want all of us to be out here. And if they don't want to do it on their own, then I'll let them know, like, let me know if you want to collab with me and I can
Okay.
help you get through it, or I can add you to a part of the company. I'll take a percentage and you make this.
That's what I was about to say. Have you
Yeah.
thought about maybe sort of a franchise licensing
Hmm.
model,
Yeah.
that, since you have already sort of started to lay the groundwork, they just can piggyback on what you're doing. And that's
Exactly.
a revenue stream. That's awesome.
Hmm.
That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
because there's some people, they're so talented. Like we have artists, we have people that make soaps, like
Mhm,
aquatic themed soaps and resin pieces. There's so much. We have so many talented people in our community. So I'm
mhm.
always trying to pull it out of them because then they'll be like, oh well, I don't know. And
Right,
you don't know
right,
that.
right, right,
You don't
right,
know that you
right.
want to be great.
Do this anyway.
Yeah, I'm like, don't. Because then a lot of the community, when I talk to them, they're beating themselves up. Like,
Right.
oh, well, I'm not a great swimmer, but now all these other mermaids have this certification and I don't, and this. I'm like, stop,
Mhm.
stop.
Just go get certified. It's
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. Let's go do it together. Like, it's
Mhm.
okay. Like, we might be behind. That's a fact, but we don't have to stay behind.
Right. Would you want to open a store? Because you talked about the key the location in Key
Hmm.
West. Would you really want a storefront at some point, or really just to build your merchandise and sell it in an e-commerce?
So when I tell you my goals are definitely achievable, but absolutely ridiculous. I've thought
Well, so
about
you know.
I've thought about opening up a store, but then I'm like, the trend of shopping is not really that popular anymore. People love to shop
Mhm.
online, and I personally love to shop online. I can't tell you the last
Mhm.
time I went to a mall.
I agree.
So I'm thinking the only time that I will open up a store is it will be after I open up my hotel.
Okay. Okay, I got you.
So
I
yeah,
don't even think that's a bad idea.
yeah.
Start going to NABWIC organizations. It's black hoteliers.
Ooh, okay, hold on. Let me write that down.
NABWIC, NABWIC. So just thought I'd throw that out there. So you start making the connections. You start making the
Yeah,
connections. So
because I
I know they have well, no, actually there's another name. I'll find out and I'll let you know.
okay,
See,
okay,
NABWIC is Black Construction,
okay.
but there's another organization that's hotels. So I'll find out and let you know. Um, okay, I do have to ask this. I said I wasn't going to ask you anything about pricing or numbers, but what is the price of a tail?
Okay. So tails range.
Okay.
You have some tails that are like bathing suit material. They're thin, and you can the cheapest tail that you can buy. Okay, so first let's start off by saying most tails come in two pieces. You
Okay.
have. I'm like, actually, should I bring one so I can show you?
Okay, that'll be cool.
Let me.
I
I
mean,
got
because yeah, no,
it.
I am intrigued by this, and I'm hoping that everyone is intrigued too, because I just didn't know this was a thing. Um, and I gotta be honest, I'm not a strong swimmer. I was telling her, I sort of taught myself how to swim initially, and then decided to go back and take a class for the purposes of being able to learn how to swim again. And it sort of undid what I started. So I swim in a fin in a tail, like it
Yes.
actually freaks me out a little bit. I mean,
Well,
you really, I feel, do feel like you have to be a very strong swimmer to know how to do
yeah.
that.
Yeah. So I never recommend anyone to put on a tail if you are not comfortable and you are not a strong swimmer.
So,
Because
do you test them first before you?
yes,
Okay,
yes,
in the certification training. Okay.
always, 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 always. You have to be able to swim regularly, float on your back, have survival skills. Can you get in and out the water without a ladder or stairs, things like that? Because
Yeah, because
it
I
can be
mean, your
dangerous.
literally your feet are,
Yeah.
which
Okay.
is your
So
proposal.
this is one of the pieces. Look this way. You put your feet in here. So you
Mm-hmm.
pretty much put your feet in here,
Uh-huh.
and then you would use a tail to you slip it on like a skirt,
Uh-huh.
and then the tail goes in at this bottom piece.
Oh, okay. So you put the tail in first, then you pull the whole thing over.
So yeah, so you put this on first,
Uh-huh.
and then your feet ends up going through this bottom piece,
Gotcha, 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 gotcha,
and
gotcha.
then you put this on, and then you put the material
Thing
over
around.
it. Right. So something like this would cost $100.
Okay. The two
Um,
together.
yes, these
Okay.
two together.
Uh-huh.
That's a basic training monofin. Then you have something like this, which is a little more elaborate. This is the mahina
Mm-hmm.
tail.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This piece alone is $125 just for this. And
Okay.
then from there, you can choose different skins or like tails that you put over it that'll
Uh-huh.
fit the mahina. And those are also about 100, 125, depending on the tail that you get. Because some tails are very sleek and simple and they don't have extra add-ons. Then you
Mm-hmm.
have tails like this. This is my signature tail, black and gold,
Mm-hmm.
that has
And
like
have,
like
okay.
dorsal fin or like these little pieces on the sides.
Uh-huh.
And then also it has extra down here so that when I
Uh-huh.
swim, it really like flows.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this tail alone without the monofin was almost $300.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you're talking about anywhere from 100 to maybe $500.
No, I'm talking anywhere between $100 to $3,000,
Ooh.
$4,000. Yes.
Ooh.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so then this one
Okay.
is another one, but
It's
as you
got a
can
little
see,
more flap to it.
yeah, it's a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more flabby. It's heavier. This is about 20 pounds,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and this one is $200.
20 pounds.
Yes. So it's good because it kind of it makes you a little bit heavier so you can take your time and flow. That's for professionals.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, because
Yeah, because if you're not a strong swimmer, you're just gonna sink at 20.
exactly, exactly. I have another one that I didn't grab because it's 30 pounds and I'm but yeah, so there's weighted monofins, but you have to be a really good swimmer because otherwise it's just scary and you will never want to do it again, which is what we don't want.
Right, exactly,
So
exactly.
most of the cloth tails, like the ones that I'm showing you, they range from $100 to $600.
Hmm.
Now it gets expensive when you start purchasing silicone tails. Silicone tails are tails that are completely 100% from top to bottom made from silicone.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
those
okay.
are the nicest tails that you can buy, and you have to like roll them up because it's made to fit your body only. They don't You can't just buy one from a store and say that you're a small. You have to measure your ankles, your
Mm-hmm.
knees, your hips, everything, like your waist, and they
Mm-hmm.
make it custom for you based on what color you want and based on what size you are.
And
Yeah.
when you say color, you're not talking about your skin tone. You're talking about what color you want to be
Correct.
your tail to be.
Yeah, and it's cool because you can actually, what a lot of mermaids do is they'll get their silicone tail and what, say I want pink and blue, but right here, like maybe like an inch off, I'll get it matched to my actual skin tone so
Oh.
it fades and it looks real. So when you're swimming and doing parties and things like that, especially at a children's party, they're like, I think she's a real mermaid. Like there is no, and it's silicone, so it's like jelly and it looks like skin, so
Wow,
yeah.
that's a thing.
I
Who
know,
knew?
yes. I want one
Oh
so
my
bad. I want one
God.
so bad, but I haven't invested in one because all of the money that I get, I put it right into the
Back
company.
into the business.
I know I'm
Yeah.
like, I need to be a little selfish one year and just get one, but I
I
just put it
mean, in
right
a
into
way,
the
that really still is an investment because if you're
company.
doing parties and things of that nature, whatever you
Hmm.
purchase in this realm, which brings about another question. I promise I'll leave you alone after this.
Hmm. Don't leave me alone.
Explain how you explain to your accountant when it's tax time. So I bought a fin. That is clearly got to be a question. And is that
Yeah.
something that you have found your colleagues may, because I can imagine that most people think this is a hobby, uh,
Yeah.
or maybe even think there's something sexual about this going on.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So how do you like legitimize for real? This
So
is the real business.
so listen. Okay, well, one, I get a lot of weird requests for
Mm.
parties that I have to turn down sometimes because I'm like, no, 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 I'm not naked. If you want to be naked, I'm gonna be over here, but you can't touch me. Um, like so,
That's
I
not what
have to
this
make a
is.
lot of things very clear in contracts because it gets weird. But it's funny because when going over like petty cash
Mhm.
and seeing like little things that I buy here and there for the store, the funniest thing that I came across was Because if you're putting on silicone tails, or if you're using any type of silicone material, it's very tight and it's very fit for you.
Mm-hmm.
So at times I'll buy lube for either people that I have working for me or myself if I'm gonna borrow or wear somebody's silicone tail, and it's just like, uh, what is this for? This is for the company, or is it, or did you forget to use your personal card?
Right.
I'm like, no. Okay.
And I bought a lot of it too. A lot of it.
Exactly. And it's just like, so the eyes that I get, I'm like, wait, don't judge me. It's not for me. It's not for Well, it is for me, but it's for the tail.
It's for my job, I swear.
Let me explain.
And I'd be with you the next time you take that to your accountant, because I can only imagine. Because sometimes my accountant's looking at me like, "What is this?" But I can imagine that's different. That's really different.
But it's interesting, and it's like as I move forward working with other people, they begin to understand the mermaiding life and the company a little bit more, because you're like, oh, that makes sense, okay. But there always has to be an explanation process, or they're looking at me like, oh, I'm gonna put it in here, but I don't know.
I don't do that kind of service. I don't do that kind of service. I can see a lot of people doing that. Like I don't know. So, okay, well, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. I've learned a lot. I got to be honest, like you, I do these shows because I personally like to learn. And I would love to stay in touch. When you do your event, I would love to come because I'm just intrigued. I really am. But before we go, how do we find you?
So you can find, I have 3 social media pages. My personal page is my name, Carrie _Wata. That's my personal page. My business page is afromermaid.co. That's the business. That's the majority of the business page. And then I just started another page for events, which is called Afro Mermaid Events.
Okay.
On Instagram and Facebook. So you can find me on both of those.
Okay. Thank you so much for agreeing to come today.
Of course.
I'm very impressed. I wish you the best of luck for sure. And I actually have a friend who sells mermaid stuff. So I'll find out about the hotel stuff and I'll make sure I connect you to anything I can do to help support.
I mean, if she wants to be a vendor at the event, you could also let her know so she can be a vendor and sell her products there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, cool. So the event is in June. It's always in June it's the weekend of Juneteenth.
Okay. Okay. Very nice. Very nice idea. Then you know what you should do? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm telling you this. I'll tell y'all this stuff after. But yes, the cultural affairs, let them know you're doing this. They have a big calendar event and send me the flyer. I'll get it out as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Cool. All right, then. Thank you so much. You have a great day.
I love you. Talk to you soon.
All right. So everyone, thank you for tuning in once again to a fantastic show. I really recommend that if you think you are a mermaid, contact her. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I don't think I'm a mermaid, but I definitely am intrigued in the product. So I'll be checking that out. See you next time. We'll be here next week again with a great host, with a great guest. Have a great day.